I'm realizing it. Oh, no, it's not. I thought it was set up as a
Seminar.
It's open. It's open. Yeah. Hi, everybody. A few more waiting to join. Okay, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to our speakers. Thanks for joining. If you feel comfortable, it's always nice to see you. So please do turn on your cameras if you feel comfortable doing so, and to provide a warm welcome to our guests. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Kyle Miller. I'm an associate professor here in the School of Architecture, and together with Dean Speaks, I'm organizing the lecture series, as well as a number of other events that I'd like to just speak about briefly. Before I do that, I want to let everybody know that there is a link that I've just posted in the chat that will provide captions if you'd like to have those or need to have those. So as I mentioned, this is a kind of unofficial beginning of a drawing workshop series that Dean Speaks and I have organized that will take place this semester, in which we've invited really experts in drawing and representation to come to work with our students across a number of weekends, really exploring different techniques and even conversations in drawing and representation within contemporary architecture discourse. So Dean Speaks might say a little bit more about that, but the general setup is that starting next Friday, we will have guests that join us to first give a lecture to our school community and speak about their work and very likely how drawing plays a role in their practice. And that will be followed by a weekend workshop that many of you have already enrolled in. There are just a few seats left, and we are enrolling first-year students and thesis students in 4 workshops. So the first workshop, as I mentioned, will be with Stephanie Lin next week, who's the current dean of what is now called the School of Architecture and what was formerly called Taliesin. Following Stephanie's workshop, I believe it's 2 weeks after that, Perry Culper, professor at it's 3 weeks after that, a professor at the University of Michigan, will give a lecture and a workshop. And in that workshop, we're pretty excited. We'll have first-year students and thesis students working together on that workshop task. The week after Perry visits us, we'll have a workshop led by really great artist and architect, Nathan Williams, who's been here in the past as a visiting critic and as a speaker. So he'll lead a workshop probably focused on the way in which he's worked through collage rather expertly and kind of embedded narratives within his collage making. And then our final workshop will happen in mid-November with Harvard professor Iman Fayed, who will also speak about a lot of the work that she's been doing recently that kind of collapses together her interest in drawing in complex geometry and in, let's say, the exchange between 2D and 3D. So if you have any more questions about the workshop series, please do reach out to me. As I said, we still do have just a few spots left for first-year students and for thesis students. You will all have received an email from me previously sharing information on those workshops. They'll really be fantastic. It really provides us with an opportunity not only to work together again in the building and to work collaboratively, but to also really take advantage of the fact that we can work together and really work on drawing and really have conversations surrounding the role of drawing and representation in architecture culture today. And I know that's something that will be a part of the conversation tonight with our featured speakers, who Dean Speaks will organize shortly. So that's all I'll say. Again, if there's questions about the workshop series, please do reach out. We'll also be sharing information with all of our students about those events as they near. And the last thing I'll do for now is introduce Dean Speaks, who will introduce our speakers and say a little bit more about the structure for tonight's conversation. And again, it is just that, a conversation. So there will be time at the end for all of you to participate. So thank you all for joining us. Dean Speaks, it's all yours.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Kyle. It's great to see everybody. Wow, so many faces on Zoom tonight. Very happy to have Lihan and Huyan from Drawing Architecture Studio back with us. Some of you may know that they lectured for us last year. If you haven't seen that lecture, you can look in our lecture archives and see it. Um, uh, I wanted to start the workshop series with them, the drawing workshop series with them, because they largely kind of inspired us to do this series. They inspired us because of their own work, which is itself, I think, very unique among architects, really in the world, but also because they taught a remarkable studio for us in Beijing last spring, some of which you may have seen on Dezeen. The work of the studio was published on Dezeen in August, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Mostly it was the work that was photographed after it was installed in a gallery in the 798 district in art districts in Beijing. So tonight I'm not going to talk very much more, except I'll just want to tell you what we're going to do. So I will introduce the speakers in just a second, but what we will actually do is Lihan and Huyan will give a presentation of about 20 minutes or so of some recent work so recent that they're only allowed to show it now because it's from the Chicago Architecture Biennale, which just opened today. And if we had done this lecture yesterday, they couldn't have showed this work. So we're going to do it today, and I'm very happy to say that we'll see that. As it turns out, some of the projects they will show, quite some number of the projects they will show, our students were assisting with, and probably they will maybe speak about that, including, I believe, the Chicago Architecture Biennale work as well. So they're going to present for about 20 minutes, and then I'll have a conversation with them about their studio they did in Beijing, about their collaboration and how they work. And also want to know a little bit about their ideas of representation and images and what stake that has in architecture discussion today. And then we will open it up at the end for questions from you. I know you will have a lot of questions for them, and that's pretty much how we'll run it tonight. As Kyle said, this will be very much a kind of a conversation and very open and conversational, I guess. Well, that's what a conversation is. It's conversational, I guess. That's what you would say. So without further ado and without saying too much more, I'll introduce them, and they will begin their lecture and share screen. So Lihan and Huyan are co-founders, as you probably know, of Drawing Architecture Studio in Beijing, which specializes in architectural drawing, architectural design, and urban studies. Lihan received a B.Arch from the Central Academy of Fine Arts in Beijing and an M.Arch from our MIT University in Melbourne. Huyan received a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Concordia University in Montreal, not very far from us here. And they've exhibited really everywhere, including in China and the Japan pavilions at the 16th Venice Architectural Biennale. They've contributed to the 7th Shenzhen Hong Kong Bi-City Biennale. I think I saw that work. I think I was at that. They've really exhibited all over the world. They won the overall prize in the digital drawing category of the World Architecture Festival's Architecture Drawing Prize in 2018. They won the Reba Journal Eyeline Drawing Competition in 2016. They've won many, many, many awards. Their work is collected by the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, the Pingshan Art Museum in Shenzhen, and many other places. They published so many really cool and amazing books. You can't see them, but I have a whole shelf right here of all of their books, including one of my favorite things in the whole world, which is a puzzle that they gave me of one of their drawings. If you've seen their drawings before, you will know that they're incredibly complicated and elaborate, but they're even more complicated as a puzzle because they're all in pieces and you have to put them together. So this is one of my most prized possessions. So without saying anything more, join me in welcoming Li Han and Hu Yan, who are going to make a presentation, and then we'll have a conversation. So welcome, Li Han and Hu Yan. Yeah, great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael. And thank you, Kyle, for the opening as well. And hello, everyone. This is Hu Yan.
This is Li Han.
Yes, hello from Beijing. And we are so happy to be here this evening for you, this morning. And it's such a great honor and to share our works with all of you. And also we like to discuss further with Michael about our collaborations in this spring, and also the shared opinions about drawing in general. Okay. So we will start some introduction about our practice. I will just share the screen.
So everybody can see our.
So it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we will start. And as Michael just mentioned, that our practice is focused on architecture drawing, and we started our studio in 2013. And since then, we developed our drawing over the years, and we would like to first show a couple of projects where you can see this involvement in our drawing. This piece is one of the pieces from a series drawing, and this is done in 2008. It's one of our earliest drawings. Here you will see that at that time the drawing techniques we use is still very traditional architecture drawing with black and white axonometric projection. Everything seems like technical documentation. Yeah. Because the original idea of our drawing practice is to use architecture drawing as a tool to document, just like observation of the urban life. So we like to keep everything as it is in the drawing. And this drawing was developed later over the years. So this, what you see here, the 4 drawings is the full series we completed in 2017 for the Shenzhen Architecture Biennale. It's called the Samsara of Building Number 42 on Dirty Street. So you see the one on the right is this original black and white drawing, but the other 3 are all very colorful. And this series is about development of a residential building in Beijing. Its name is called Building Number 42, and the street where it was located is called a dirty street, because the building, the down floor, the ground floor and the second floor of the building were turned into, it was a residential building, but the first 2 floors were turned into small shops and restaurants by different owners, and then the street become very popular nightlife. Yeah.
When we say dirty in China, I think it had double meanings. First meaning is it is not very clean. You know, there's very small shops, small restaurant. It's not formal space. But on the other hand, it means mixed, and it's kind of very local. That's why people call it dirty. It's kind of for the local people to enjoy. But ironically, this place is quite close to embassy areas, so a lot of foreign people come here to.
It is very international block.
So
actually.
It's a mixed international and local locality together.
Yeah, and here the drawings shows the changes of the building over 10 years, from a residential building to a commercial venue, and then because it's too gets to like 30 or not 30, it's like
I think it's a change of city policy.
Yeah.
So because there are too many people in Beijing, so the government don't want increase the density of the city, and this area always have
crowded.
Crowded. So in the end, this building went back to a residential building.
Yeah,
so,
all the stores and the restaurants were demolished in a crackdown action, and then the last drawing is to show that the building was returned to a regular residential building.
Yeah. What I want to actually you can see this is a series drawing. It records change of the city, but at the same time you can see the change of drawing style. So basically, over 10 years, we are we observe the city. On the other hand, we also develop our drawing techniques.
Yeah. For example, here this is the second piece to show the nightlife, the peak time of that building in the evening, that where people come here for drinks and for gatherings, and we use a lot of graphic elements to show this atmosphere. So here is less like objective documentation. It becomes like we want to give more expression into the visuals. And this page shows the third drawing in the series, where we documented the crackdown of the small shops on the ground floor. And here we spend a lot of energy in like portraying those rebels, and we want to show this the violence in the whole action, where you see different tensions, and you see people still in the rooms, and but here the contractor, the workers already started to take down the walls and but to put in the new balconies and to try to restore the building as apartments. Yeah, so here this drawing series shows the primary theme of our drawing, which is about daily life. In Beijing, we often observe, like we like to observe the urban lives and how people live in the daily environment. So this is more about the how you could understand our
the development of our practice.
And then you say this drawing series is about reality. Then the next project, Taobao Village, Small Acre City, we did in 2018 for the Chinese Pavilion in the Venice Biennale, shows that how different references and how we can use fiction in our drawing. Because for this subject, Taobao Village, what you see here, it's looking like a village, but this is not any existing village in China. Taobao Village is more like an economic concept, which used to describe the villages in which there are farmers do e-commerce on Taobao.com, the largest e-commerce website in China. So here we sort of like designed the Taobao Village based on the design of Broad Acre City by Frank Lloyd Wright, because the idea is to talk about how a decentralized system by the internet can help the farmers to make their own business at home. They don't have to rush to the big cities. The interesting thing about this project that is because it's fictional, and so we design everything, but the everything is also you can find the prototype in reality. And so for
so each I think each part, each detail is from reality, and the overall structure actually is also from a reference from Frank Lloyd Wright's Broad Acre City. The fiction part actually is how we connect them, how we collage everything together.
For For example, we have these mirrored composition. So on one side, we show the exterior of the village, in which we combine a lot of interesting references from what we learned on the internet and also on the daily readings, where you have this very funny office building. We saw that in a contest called the ugliest building in China. And then here we have we try to copy this museum from Frank Lloyd Wright as a exhibition hall for a toy factory, as to stress this copy culture in the Chinese contemporary culture. So everything seems like you can say it's a collage as well. Like we just put everything we are interested in one piece.
But we want our collage is seamless, so there is no boundary between different elements. They are mixed totally into a unity.
Yeah. So this is example to show how reference works in our drawing practice, because we will talk about this issue again when we introduce you about the collaboration with Syracuse in this VC studio, which we carry out the same concepts. So this is the exhibition view in the Biennale. And then the next project is the one Michael just mentioned that we were able to share with you just today, because it is the piece we contributed to the Chicago Architecture Biennale this year. It's called Still Life in the Windy City. As you can see, it's a piece made for Chicago.
Chicago called Windy City.
The Windy City, yeah, the nickname. And the subject is also given by the artistic director of this year's Biennale. It's called The Available City, and they want to stress the issue of vacant lots in Chicago neighborhood. It's more about community building, which we find that is a very, very popular subject all around the world, both in the States, in Europe, and in China. And for this piece, we made a very long scroll. The drawing itself is 30 by 400 centimeters in print. And we in this drawing, we combine the views, the architecture from the Chicago community with some activities we observed in Beijing.
Yeah, because we never been to Chicago, and so how do we do this subject? So we actually visit some community public space in China, and we find actually there are a lot of common issues in both countries. So we draw a lot of elements or objects we found in communal space in China and put them into the context of Chicago suburb. And because this area actually, we are surprised that when we see actually you can buy a land with just $1 because there are a lot of vacant land. So we will realize that architecture in this area actually is, is quite not rare, but actually too many.
Yeah.
And so how do we do with this situation as architects? And then we get this idea that actually objects still, we can say still life. Normally when we mention still life, we say it's something on the table, a painting about something on the table. But when we enlarge the scale into the city scale, and you will see actually, if you imagine city as a table, there's many elements like city scale, still life, like this
tricycles.
Yes.
Yeah, we combined a lot of elements like from China with the community environment in Chicago. For example, those tricycles and as a food cart is very popular here, and they sell famous pancake. And you see this is more like a hot pot food. And
I think compared to building, they're small, but actually they play a more active role in connecting people, in change the urban space.
Yeah. They are more mobile and it's can be brought to anywhere in the community. It's not fixed to any specific location. And for example, this part shows a garden, very small garden formed by recycled objects like furnitures or the small or big objects that you threw out of your house. Because here is, for example, in Beijing, it's very popular that some people, they will put their furniture like chairs or sofa, maybe in the garden of the community.
Once they got new furniture, they will throw out their old furniture, but they don't not throw out totally. They just put them in the communal garden close to their apartment, and so when they go up, they still can
sit on
their own chairs.
So it's like later, after some time, they become a small gathering spot in the community. And then this part shows the idea that a car can be turned into a mobile cafe, and also through the windows you can see this. It shows this like a car market, which is also very often seen everywhere, probably in the world. Like on the street, at the corner of the street, you will see people open their car and just to sell all kinds of products, like small outdoor market. So our idea is to stress the importance of objects in the community building. We don't want to put more like we think that is maybe to architecture is already too much. So we can maybe find another solution, another approach. And the specialty about the drawing technique in this piece is that we borrow the idea of this continuous space in the traditional Chinese painting, scroll painting. For example, you see this image, we depicted three different things: the tricycle market, food market, and this is inflated equipment for playground, and this is a small farm. But in the image, you don't see the breaking down between them. You see a very continuous flow in the drawing.
Actually, the screen painting is scroll painting is a kind of very big tradition in Chinese painting, and a lot of Western artists mentioned this, like David Hockney. He was astonished about Chinese scroll painting. There's play with a continuity of horizontal. That's a culture, because Chinese tradition culture draw a lot of mountains, natural landscapes. They play with landscape continuity. But here we want to borrow some ideas from Western drawing tradition. Western drawing tradition is play with the depth of space, because they invent the perspective, and when you find perspective, you can play with depths of the space. So here you can see the drawing actually mix the continuity of the horizontal, but also you can see there is some play with this. It looks like a perspective. You can see small things quite big because it's close to you, and building are quite small actually. It's because it's a bit of far away, and by this we want to strengthen our point that this still life of the city plays actually more important role in urban space. But when you look at this closely, actually, it's not a real perspective. It's every detail, every small part is a parallel projection. It's still axiometric drawing, but we change the scale of different axiometrics. So you have the feeling of
illusion
of
perspective.
So we try to mix different drawing tradition and to kind of achieve both.
And for the contribution to the Biennale, we made a physical scroll, as you see on this page. That we follow this traditional form of hand scroll, and then the picture on the right is installation, like before exhibition, is in the process installation view in the Graham Foundation in Chicago. And when it's totally open, the scroll is about 5 meters long. And so everyone, if you plan to visit Biennale, you're welcome to check out our piece in Graham Foundation. And yeah, for this piece, we have several students from class 2023 to work with us in the summer. And we hope that this is also a great experience for them. So all the previous projects we're talking about are still in the regular format of drawing, like you can exhibit inside the room. The following projects we're talking about is on a much larger scale, and in which we try to explore the possibility that the drawing become a building material as a way for us to engage in architecture. The image on this page shows a mural. It's called 798. We did in 2017. It is for 798, the art zone in the art district in China, very famous. And this mural is for a Hyundai Motor studio. The building itself is a historical preservation, and you cannot do anything for the outside. So the designer, the architect, came up with the idea that to use a mural to decorate. Yeah.
Actually, this drawing, I think it's a very landmark drawing for us. It's totally change our business model. You can say it give us, it helped us find our own business model. Before this drawing, actually, our studio still relies on design, interior design, architecture design, and the drawing is our research part. It's not a real business model. But because this drawing has really a good result, it actually made this building become this spot become a land
like
attraction spot in 798. So after that, we got another commission to just make the drawing like this. So from that time, we kind of get more commission, just just make the drawing. So I think even 3 years ago, we half our
in terms of our business.
But this year, actually, 100% of work is drawing.
The material we use for this project is a kind of 3M film, which it can be pasted on the wall, and you can still show the texture of the bricks. And when maybe after a couple of years, if you want to change the drawing, it can be taken off without any damage to the wall. So this material also gives a lot of opportunity for us to use the drawing as a building material.
I think we should thank for this material, because it's just solve the problem how to because all of drawing are digital drawing, and we can do a lot of details in computer, but how to make it become kind of material like in the real world, and this film help us, and it's with kind of relatively low budget, and you can achieve a very
marbles or
astonishing effect. And also, I think we should thank for the culture of this kind of taking self-portrait,
selfies, and on the social media. This is right now is a really image-driven world. Like when you talk about social media, and
people want to take photos
anywhere,
anywhere, but I think they want to take photos in front of spectacles, in front of some very strange image, and image can give it's pretty easy to create such effect. So I guess we because of this kind of culture, taking photos, I guess we got these commissions from
different clients. And also because we work digitally, our drawing is always featured with density, and with this kind of this kind of film, the technology, we were able to bring this density
Yeah.
like into the real world and
Yeah.
without too much cost.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why also help us to stay with this feature
Yeah.
in our drawing. We just keep making the drawing very dense. Yeah, and not the building material, like if we think that drawing can be used for architecture, it's not only for the exterior, but also can be used for interior. Like this is an actually a renovation project, interior renovation. It's called Chenghua Party School. We did for a party school in the city of Chengdu, and the original like the briefing is that they have this space. It's a very old office building and looks really not in a good condition, but we found that the structure itself is very interesting. Have this semi-circular ceiling and also with a glass ceiling here to the downstairs. Here is looking from downstairs, and so we think that we don't want to do this renovation from a like traditional way of like architectural renovation. We were thinking how to use image to become the key material. And so this is what we did for this space, is that we made a drawing based on the surroundings, the neighborhood of the party school. And then we put it as a mural here for this beautiful wall. And then here for the glass ceiling, we also made another version and to also print it on film. And so everything becomes suddenly lightened up. Yeah. With very, maybe probably the lightest touch to the structure. And then, so this is a view from the downstairs and with light, and it feels almost like church stainless, like stained glass. And so we
party school and church is they all about religion.
Yeah, in some way about spirits. And so here, for this project, we found that it's a good example to show how little you can do, but how big you can achieve with image. It's actually a very we over the years we start to think that the use of image is actually has a long history. Like if we look at the drawing, the architecture from Renaissance, from Italy, like they use a lot of murals or frescoes.
Sculpture. Actually decoration, image, space, building structure, they are all combined together. So I guess that's actually we like things that mix different elements together. So we like complicated things. That's what we pursue. We don't like minimalism because I think it's too simple.
Or we want to just find some different approach. Let's say that, yes. So so we think that drawing could be a very or image could be actually comes to a time that we can find a way to revive this tradition in architecture. And then talking about the Renaissance, it is literally we try to revive the Renaissance. This piece is the one we did this summer, also with some help from the Syracuse students, and it's called Dontgbae Renaissance. Dontgbae is in Chinese, it means northeast. It refers to three provinces in north of China, and in those provinces the economy is actually quite it's not so good. Many young people, they went to other big cities like Beijing and Shanghai.
Because it used to be a heavy industrial area. And because the economy changed, so this heavy industry break down, so it's always a problem.
But it's interesting that over the past decades, in the cultural world, there is some really a booming development in this area. There are many movie makers, like writers and
literature
and
music,
comedies,
rock and roll.
They started to have a lot of very like popular or big names coming from this area. They their work about the life in this northern China.
Yeah.
So this phenomenon in the cultural world is called Dontgbae Renaissance. That's a term we used very recently, very popular in the cultural world to describe those people from this area, like who made very splendid works. But when we talk about Renaissance, of course, this is a direct borrow from the real Renaissance in Italy. And so the Renaissance is, when we talk about the Renaissance and talk about Italy, the architecture is a very easy to think about, like it's connect us to the architecture form of Basilica.
Basilica, Mural, so
frescoes.
Fresco, that's very famous in Italian Renaissance. So when we talk about this, we directly think about this form of art.
And this is the original look of this the gable wall of it is actually a gable wall of a warehouse.
Actually, it's a commercial development project, but it's in the I think
also industrial
line. There's a lot of warehouse, and this warehouse is a very good quality, old I think 50 years. So it become kind of reserved industrial building. So they want to, you know, adding some culture value to this.
Or to give it a new look. So we think that the shape of cells reminded us of Basilica. And then when we talk about the concept of Dontgbae Renaissance, we think it's a perfect subject, a match, where we can connect the very abstract cultural concept to a very direct visual reference. So what we did is that instead of covering, because the previous in the previous murals, or you can see that we always do a complete piece, but here we break down the different pieces. We follow the structure of the wall, and so the different in each piece we describe some local life in Dontgbae, in the northeast provinces, like the food market or the library to refer to literature, and also these
worker village.
These are the worker village, like where
worker dormitory.
Dormitory that used to be the dorms for the workers, and here we deliberately leave those structures as they are, and everything else is sort of fit in a frame of the wall. So in the end, it looks like from the distance, when you suddenly saw it, it looks like sort of like
pretty like Italian basilica, but it's kind of fake basilica. But for us, it's pretty ironic thing that, you know, it's a real estate development, and they pretty actually is kind of expensive, and so they will use Western style apartment because it means you know, high level. So here, on the one hand, we think it's a cultural connection between Dontgbae Renaissance and Italian Renaissance, but also you can see it's a ironic use of this, you know, Western style building in Chinese real estate market. So we play with this double meaning, you know, on the one hand it's culture, on the other hand it's totally commercial. Like, you know, you can see in the center of this is like a rose window for the Basilica building or church, but actually it's a top view of a cooling tower actually. So there's a lot of play with this double meaning.
In the end, when we look at this building, like when we're standing in front of it, we feel like we sort of like fake a building, make a fake like that. It's like something that we always
it's like a joke, but on the other hand, it's also a culture. It's really like a Dontgbae culture, you know. It's very entertaining. It's very happy. But before this entertaining, before happy, it's really something sad, you know.
Or some
economy total
heavy
breakdown. So a lot of people losing their jobs, but the surface of the culture is very happy. So I think this
Joyful.
kind of atmosphere is quite close to this
Local culture, yeah. So we want to add some fun for the local people. And then this is another very new project this year. It's called Learning from Macau. We would like to use this drawing to show you how the process of creation in each project. And it's also worth to mention that for this project, all the team of the interns, they are from Syracuse class 23.
Yeah, we have two group, online group and office group. Yeah,
yes.
we work together.
Yes. And so this piece is created for the Art Biennale in Macau. And the commission is just to do a piece about the city, like do whatever we can. And so we studied a little bit about the city, and Lihan has been to Macau about 10 years ago. And what we like about this city is that it is very famous for gambling industry, as you know. And you can tell from this the title of this project, Learning from Macau, we actually taking the reference from learning from Las Vegas, which is also famous for the gambling industry. What's difference between Macau and Las Vegas is that Macau has a lot of they have a lot of casinos, but they also have a lot of historical architecture, like a beautiful Portuguese style churches and a lot of old neighborhood, which is very mixed. And our original inspiration for this piece is actually one of the photos we found on the internet. It's taken it's like this grand casino in Macau, very famous group of architecture. And what you see here is really feels like it's a carnival or like a playground, and everything seems very
direct.
Very direct, very cute, or like it's like attract you to go and play there. This reminded us of the maquette by the artist King Glass, where you can see like he used a lot of very shining and colorful materials. By comparison, you can see that these images made us think about it's like a world of dream.
I think many people think this type of building are ugly. It's rich. It's just a show off building, golden elements. But for us, actually, it's really a very direct expression of people's truly desire something. Everyone want to be rich, like money, but we don't want to say it. But here in Macau, we just say directly what you like. And express it directly. We like this directness of this type of building. Compared to there's also very beautiful historical building in Macau, but I think this casino building is more special, just like Rob eventually planned in Las Vegas, I think.
Well, so there are always a lot of decorations, and which we usually will not go for in design. But here, when you are in this city, you feel like you want to embrace this overwhelming decoration. And so besides the architecture itself, we also did some research for gambling, for games, where we got a lot of great inspirations. You see here on this page, there are a lot. These are the very popular games in casinos, like a pinball machine or a pachinko machine. We don't know how to play them, but
actually we don't. In the end, we don't figure out how to play with this machine.
So it's too complicated. But when we did some research, we saw this interesting drawing. Like if you want to design a pinball machine, you look at this picture, is just the same as a ground plan of architecture when you do urban design or like planning. So we think that we want to bring this into the drawing itself, like make a city of game, like make the interface of game as the new ground floor plan for the city. And another interesting we want to mention is that as we talk about a lot of reference, we also want to admit that we use a lot of Pinterest for our brainstorm. Like we here, for example, this is a pinboards for Macau project where we collect all different kinds of inspirations, either for the colors or for the composition or for the like a postmodern architecture. We think that is because our belief is that there's nothing new under the sun, and we are in the era in which information is so easy to get, and it's everywhere. We don't want to say we actually enjoy that. We think that we should take advantage of this development and to use that in our creation. Yeah, this is the very preliminary research of the drawing. You can see here there are two very long, very narrow lines. This is the window on the wall in which we cannot cover. So this basic structure of the wall give us an idea to form the basic layout. Here we have we break the wall into the drawing into 5 small pieces, and in each piece we try to follow the plan of 1 or 2 games. Yeah, and but in together we still want to make a complete piece where you don't see the
people see 5 drawings.
Yeah, we want to them to see only 1 mural.
And also we don't want the drawing breaked by these 2 narrow these windows. So firstly we make 5 drawings based on this layout made by the facade structure. Then after that we will connect these 5 drawing into 1 large drawing. Therefore balance these 2.
So this is a screenshot from the line drawing, the final line drawing in AutoCAD. We actually did everything. The line drawing in AutoCAD is the most crucial stage of the whole project. We do everything, like the composition and all the details are done in AutoCAD before we move to coloring.
We do some 3D models, but actually we don't do a lot. We make a basic model, then we do a lot of refinement work in AutoCAD or 2D drawings. Sometimes we use, the young people, they don't use AutoCAD actually, they use Rhinos, but it's okay. Even they use Rhino, they just do the 2D drawing.
So it's still 2D are more sort of like become more important because everything has to be 2D in the end. And so for example, for this drawing, you can already see all the structures. You can see clearly the 5 drawings are merged into 1, and we use these elements like the sky trains or the bridges or the highways to connect them. And and this is the final color version. Here there's a way to visit this city. Is like you can follow the rail of the sky train where you can go everywhere, just as if you were in a real city. Because like here you can see more clearly, like you will find all these landmarks, those casino buildings in the drawing, but also there are a lot of new imaginary buildings, like they are made by chips, by dices, all these small elements you found in the games.
Because the whole city is based on the
gambling
and so the building definitely can made from these chips, these elements.
Our idea is that this piece is made for Macau. Local people are the most possible audience for this piece, and we want them to find something familiar which they see every day, but also find something new in this familiar environment. Something strange. You will find this, it's totally a new positioned city. Everywhere is not like the location has been changed, like the buildings next to it has been changed, but from the first look, you can still tell it's Macau. And as we use a lot of bright colors or these graphic languages, we think that we reach the original idea that we want to make the piece which looks very festive, look very joyful, and just like people enjoy the come here and have fun in casinos. This is the installation for the mural. That's it took. This is the wall, the windows we were talking about. Yeah, it's interesting that from this page you can see this is where the mural is located. This is one of the museums in Macau, and next to it, this is a golden building. It's one of the casinos, and you can find it here at the corner of the mural. Yeah, we here in this piece, what we say learning from Macau is that it's often that when we found that in the very formal occasions, people are shy to talk about gambling industry. They think it's something not really positive. It's not so good for us. But in reality, it's still a very important industry, and it's also important field for people to maybe relax or to find their own joy. And that's the same as the attitude to those commercial architecture, the casino architecture. Maybe we really don't want to talk about it in the textbooks of architecture, but when we really look at it and to study it, we find that there's still many interesting values we can borrow.
The architecture can directly express people's desire, not to be totally abstract. And yes, a different culture, high culture, low culture, they are all good culture. You can get inspiration from different type culture. So that's what we mean learning from Macau.
Yeah, so that's the project we would like to share with you about our practice, and then the following part we can talk about this collaboration we had with Syracuse Architecture in this spring for this VC studio, and so Michael, shall we just move on and you can just add comments or questions?
No, yes, I think you should just, if you don't mind, just maybe go ahead and present the project with that you worked on with us. You know, one of the things that is so incredible about your work is you make critics obsolete because you're so clear, and the work is so I think the way that you present it and the lessons that can be learned are so clear. We really don't need a lot of questions. So my suggestion is go ahead and I mean, everyone I think by now can see why you all have inspired us to do this drawing series. But my suggestion is, just show maybe talk about the student projects, and then maybe I'll ask one question, then we'll open it up. I think I get to talk with you all the time. I'm very lucky. I want everyone else to have an opportunity to ask you questions too. So maybe show this, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, we will show some behind scenes images for this.
Fantastic
collaboration. Okay, so this project is called, the final name we call it is the Complete Map of Capital Beijing. This is a VC studio we did in this spring, and very many thanks to Dean Speaks and Professor Wang Fei to invite us to do it. We are really grateful, and we have such good memories about this studio. It's a fantastic experience. So everything is started from these 5 pieces of A4 paper. This is our studio schedule in February when we handed it out to the students. There are 16 students from class 2023. I guess maybe at that time they didn't realize how much work they would have.
Although it's just 5 pieces of paper, but actually means lots of
work. And so that's a crazy 3 months. And the original name of our studio is called Copied in Beijing. The reason why we use this name is because we in this studio we actually want to introduce this the concept of reference, as we constantly talk about in the creation process. As we said it previously in this Taobao Village project, we use references, and we deliberately copy in some way for our own work.
I think maybe we are, maybe Chinese people are part of made in China, but when you say copied in China, it's a little bit, maybe people think it's not good, it's something stealing other people's idea. But we stand that copy maybe is a creative way to it's a creative way to
Mhm.
generate something new, and you can get a complete different things through just copying one existing thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's
yeah.
we call it copy
Copied
in
in
Beijing,
Beijing.
to emphasize this.
Yeah. So our attitude to copy is maybe similar to the gambling industry, that we try to dig out something positive and to let the students deliberately copy in their own work. So everything is the copy, the model of the copy is like it's this very old map. It's with the same name, the complete map of capital Beijing is right here. It is from the Qing dynasty, like hundreds of years ago. And with this map, you see that it's not really accurate, probably. So with some deliberate like composition, because the creator wanted to put it into this perfect square. But we really love this structure with the rivers, like waterways and the city walls. So we decided that we want to copy this map with the materials, with the buildings the students saw in Beijing. So this is the very original preliminary plan we give to the students. That here different green part shows that each student, they need to document a building and put in the ground plan.
I think not only the building, but also they have a block. Each student will design the complete block. When we teaching, we find that the students were always don't pay attention to the block. They concentrate on the building itself, but actually the block, the pavement, actually plays more important role actually in the drawing.
Yeah. So this is from February 27th. And then this is from March the 8th. You can see gradually something happens in each block. And then so here we also ask students to have different projections of the building. So we will negotiate with each other to where this building is rotating to and where is the other one. So that in total that we have a very balanced layout. And this is from April the 16th. You see the drawing is almost full. And the one from March, those empty ones, they are the blocks preserved for those design projects. Here, these buildings they are all from reality. It's more like a documentation training. And then for the blank blocks, we ask the students to make new designs and to fill in these smaller, these different blocks. And this is what we have in the final review. Is like is this dated May the 7th. Here you see the very bright colors, very rich content. And all the blocks are filled, and this becomes a combination of the reality and imagination. When we talk about imagination, we will specifically talk about the designs, the 8 designs the students completed for this drawing. So for when it comes to, because so our studio comprised of drawing and design, 2 parts. For the drawing, as you can see, just more like very close to what we practiced every day for our own work. But for the design part, we together with the students, we made a new experiment with you can say AI design or design by algorithm.
Actually, for the design part, we don't want students, start from zero, from scratch. We also give each of them a reference. So, for example, this reference we give them. Then we give another. We ask them to find another reference. This reference is
from real life in Beijing.
Real life in Beijing, urban village in Beijing. So everything, the input is given, and what you do is that you, like a director, you collage these different elements together to make your own design, not from zero. And also the process of collage, we don't ask them doing collage by their brain, because we find actually our brain as kind of limited, because when you do the collage, you will use these buildings window to replace the other types of window. But in the computer world, the algorithm, they don't see this image as building, they don't see this as window, they have totally different logic. So the image this algorithm give us is completely new to us. That's what we want.
Yeah. So for example, this is one of the final results the students decided on with the calculation by the algorithm. There's a software called Ostogram. You can find it on the internet.
It's a free.
Yeah, it's a very fun software you can try. And then based on the collage, the students of this group, for the design process, we asked 2 students to form one group. And for this group, they, based on the collage, they made this sketch where you can see the design started to show. Yeah. And if everything becomes logical, like the staircases and the windows, everything becomes very clear. Yeah. So this, when it's reached to this stage, we think that we ask them that they can move to the modeling process.
Yeah. And I think for the image, we think it's not just 2 dimension. For image like this, you can see the depth of space. So how you actually this is exercise. How do you read the 2-dimensional explain a 2-dimensional image into a 3-dimensional space?
Yeah. So you need to reinterpret it, like you reinterpret the result of the computer by your brain. So that's addition.
That's your creative part. I think.
Like more editing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of process. Some process is given, some process made by computer, and you adding your process. And we think our brain actually very strong in terms of this part. You kind of mix different given issue together.
Yeah. And then when it comes to the model making, we are very specific from the very beginning that we want them to make physical models, because we think that compared to the computer renderings, physical models give you much more much more things to think about and to play with, and give you the physical quality. And so this picture shows the process of the model making of this group. And you can see that we strongly recommended students to use a lot of colors, use a lot of found materials like tapes. It's very important material, and different kind of craft paper, and to make it the model as shiny or as colorful as possible compared to the regular white model. Yeah, because we think that this is as we talk about it in the Macau project, we want the student also to experience this kind of directness in the design. Just don't be afraid to use colors and very wild materials. Yeah. So this is the end of the model for this group. Is they give a very beautiful name, Casa de Metallica. I think it really fits because it looks like a shiny jewelry box. They use a lot of these metallic tapes for the coloring with the reflections. And here, what's interesting that if you compare this to the original model, that pink pack they refers to, you can see the direct association because they stick with blue and pink. But if you don't know the context, you don't know the background by itself, you think it's very interesting design. You don't need
a completely new design.
Yeah, you don't need any reference anymore to understand this design. Or you can see all these frames or the structures, they are from the urban villages in Beijing. But even if I don't explain to you, you probably will still find this very exceptional, and you want to check out what's going on in this building. So this is the quality or the level we want to achieve in this experiment. And then the following are some other results for other groups. This one is hotel.
Hotel.
And also big references from the urban villages where they use a lot of this kind of blue metal plates. It's usually very ugly in reality, but when it's come to this new design, when you use it deliberately as a feature, it becomes very exceptional.
After this course, I think that thing not ugly. It's beautiful.
We want to persuade the students that nothing is really ugly. It always depends on how you use it or how you look at it. And this one is an office building, and where the students use a lot of this kind of metal curtain. It refers to those because here in China for the apartment buildings we use a lot of metal, almost like a cage, to cover to prevent theft or the damages. So they turn it into a design feature for this office building, which looks very exquisite.
And this is driven from Shinohara building. So basically you cannot find any trace of Shinohara, but it is derived from Shinohara's building.
Yeah. And this is a small community center, and it's called a Chamber of Pigeon, which is they use a lot of, they make this kind of small rooftop, like small rooftop windows or structure, like as refers to those pigeon houses you found a lot in Beijing hutons. And also we want to mention that here you can see, for example, those bricks. They are all drawn first on computer and printed out and pasted onto the model. We told the students that besides the tapes and the color papers, for all the other textures, they need to draw as a pattern and then use it in their model, just as if that we use image as a building material. And also for the ground, everything is drawn or use tapes. And this is a nightclub. Turned from brutalism.
Turned from a Soviet building
of a workers club.
Yeah.
The feature of this design is this very long and a staircase circulating around the building. And this is for a government, for office building for the local government. It's copied from Rossi.
Out of Rossi.
Yes.
It's an Italian, very famous Italian
architect. We found it's very interesting that this they refers to this more traditional architecture, like the Forbidden City, more official buildings, like more official, traditionally official buildings in Beijing, and to make this office building. And this is a transformation from a Robin Hood garden, the socialist social housing, and it stays as a residence, but the students add a lot of sticking out balconies, which is a very common feature in Beijing. And the last one is a temple. It's a copy from a church in Europe. And it looks so Chinese, but actually you can never find a temple looking like this in China. So that's a part we like. So that's from here you can see what we mean by copy. Like they always combine different things together. It's the whole design is a collage. So this is what we achieve in the end of the studio. Here, this is some photos about the logbooks. Each student, they have this logbook to document all the process of creation in this studio, where you can see these a lot of hand sketches and the process drawing for the computers. And so at this stage, we thought this studio was already a very good success. Then we got a very fantastic opportunity where we brought it to another level. We got invitation by Art Center in Beijing. They will have an exhibition, and they invited us to make an installation. So we think that this drawing and those models are perfect for the exhibition. And because the room we are given is very big, we need to make an installation. The floor size will be 7 by 7 meters. So we need to print out this drawing in this size and also we decided to make a diorama to show these models. So when it comes to the drawings, we think that only print out is not enough, because you don't have any texture, you don't have any special quality on the paper. So we decided to use tape again on the drawings as echo to those models. So here, this is the workshop we had with some students from I think they should be class 2026. Right now they are the first year in Syracuse. So we have students, they come to, we print out the drawing into 49 pieces of boards, and each student, they need to complete seven boards with tapes. So it's a lot of work as well, and we are really grateful that they did beautiful jobs to highlight the rows or the roofs or the chimney. The drawing becomes very shiny and very enriched. So this is the thing from the workshop. And then we think that because the installation, the diorama is so huge, only 8 models are not enough to cover it. Then we decided that we need to have more buildings. So we have the students to make, I think there are more than 150 new blocks. So here they can see those facades. They are also drawn first on computer and print out and paste it onto the building blocks. This is the installation view in the art center. We first lay out the drawing boards, like one row after the other, and then we put the all these small building blocks on top of it. So this is the first 2 rows, and then also some additional taping on the side. And then
gradually come into view.
And then here you can see this the new addition for this installation, that we have a big mural hanging over the diorama.
Actually, originally we don't have this mural, and we only have this model and this large table drawing. But the curator of this exhibition, he wants give the the audience, visitor, spots to take photos. Actually, it's a quite utilitarian requirement, but actually today at least here in China, it's quite important. It's a primary requirement
requested by all the curators.
Curator exhibition. You need to have spot for people to take photos. Therefore, we add this mural. Therefore, you can take a very beautiful photo when you're standing in front of them, in front of this model. But later, we think actually this mural is important for this project, because we use a kind of cheap material. We cannot use very flat mural film. That's too expensive. So we choose a very cheap film material, mural film material, and this result in it's not completely flat. So the image in the mural twisted, deformed a little bit. But this effect actually, we don't expect this effect, but actually it's really even better effect than we expected. Because for these things, for this project, one issue we always interested is how to mix 3-dimensional thing with 2-dimension we mix 2-dimensional thing with 3-dimensional things. In this mural, actually, it's like, because everything is a little bit twisted, it's like in a dream, and 3-dimensional thing and 2-dimensional are mixed so perfectly. So we think this mural actually even
adds a different dimension to to the whole installation. So you can see from different views. And another feature of this diorama is that because the our drawing is all astrometric projection.
Yeah.
So you see, for example, for this small part, you can see the building and sort of like grow out of the drawing and it creates this very interesting illusion.
Yeah. So it's not start from a two-dimensional plan. It stand out from a kind of axiometric drawings, half two-dimensional, half three-dimensional. Yeah.
So this is some close-ups, like where the designs by the students are combined with these those smaller building blocks we did later. Yeah, so everything become very also like a city of dream. Yeah, so it's
a bit like when we use Google Earth, you will see the satellite photo. It's like an axiometric drawing because it's very far away from the Earth, so everything is a little bit it's a parallel. So because Google, you can also see some models in the three-dimensional model in the Google. Especially, I think in Chinese city, we don't have the whole city become three-dimensional. We only have some models made by volunteers. They upload this model into Google Earth. So when you see the Google Earth of Chinese city, you will see the satellite photo and you see some building, three-dimensional building stick out of this satellite photo. A little bit same experience like this model, but our version is more detailed, is much clearer. So
it's gives a lot of information for the audience to digest, and so we think this is very successful. This is really the most ambitious installation we have ever done to date. And
curators are very happy because indeed there are a lot of people take photos from this large piece.
Yes, we are very grateful for this great opportunity that we took this VC studio and we work with those talented students and create something new together.
I think after we finish the installation of this project, students are very happy. You can see,
I think they are really proud of their achievements.
Yeah. Although it's really tired, really exhausting.
I don't think they want to go through it again, but I think that at least everyone is happy when they see this. Yeah. And the last but not the least is the exhibition is already finished in Beijing, but the drawing gets its new home in Beijing. These photos shows that this is in the garden of a co-working space called E-Park, where our studios took place. We spent 3 months there, and the installation, like the taping part, was also done in their co-working space. We got a lot of support, and they are very. They also like this piece so much, and they have the final drawing put as a mural on one of the buildings in the garden. So for the next couple of years, if anyone comes to Beijing, you are welcome to go to E-Park, and you can see this marvelous work by yourself. And this will definitely be a very important memory for us. Yeah,
that's all.
That's all we would like to share by the slides.
Wow, absolutely mind-blowing, so incredible. I'm not going to say anything more because I think we probably have some questions. I do want to thank you for showing all this. It's such an incredible amount of work and so impressive. As I said before, because I get to talk with you all the time, I won't ask any questions, but I have 1 million questions. We're actually working on a book together, and we're doing some other things. So maybe my questions will get will find their way there. What I would like to do now is just open this up to maybe we could stop sharing screen just so that we could so that we could open it up to anyone who has a question. Probably it would be most efficient if we have a lot of questions, if you could write them in the chat, and either Kyle or I can write them, or just you can just ask the questions, because Lihan and Yan, are very generous and have offered to answer questions tonight. I know we've been on for a while, but I think it's been really, really fantastic. So does anyone have any questions? Besides my 100 questions? Yes? Is anyone typing in a question? Are you also overwhelmed?
I have one.
Yes.
So at the beginning, you guys mentioned black and white drawing and how you sort of started with that. As we went through the other compositions you guys have made, it seemed clear to me that like when I was looking at them at least, I would sort of gravitate towards one color at a time and sort of explore everything that color had to say about the thing it was describing. And because of the contrast between all the colors used, you could sort of just like float through one color at a time. I'm curious though, how would you approach your current compositions if you had to do it black and white again? Like would it change?
Okay. You mean if we have to go to black and white with the same drawing?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good question. I think we never yeah, I think so far we haven't experiment with we always have a black and white drawing as like a line drawing, if you say that's already the direct black and white. But indeed that we never tried with like a gray or
gray, you mean gray tone or just totally complete gray? Gray.
I guess what you mean is like if we still have different black or different gray, right? In a black and white. Yeah. So this kind of like to replace the color with different grays, for example. I will never done that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a great question, but I think they've never done it because maybe there's no reason to do it. Xander, do you? I have to say, one of the last questions, or one of the things that it's amazing that you picked that up, Xander. I'm curious. Maybe could I ask a question on top of that? One of the things that you do a lot in your own work, and you did it with all the student work, and this is connected to the history that Xander is talking about, because what Xander's talking about is the history of, you start out with black and white and they get more and more complicated. You add layers, and as Xander said, there are colors, and you really stressed color in all of the projects at the end. You allude a lot to postmodernism and to obviously learning from Las Vegas, and there's a real interest in combining things that I don't see really many other people doing, which is the kind of specificity and the particularity of Western perspectival individual focus and the huge scale of kind of Song Dynasty type scroll paintings. And so it seems you're always mashing up Western perspective and large scale, let's say, large scale drawings, but also even in the buildings that the students did for the complete map of Beijing project, where they mixed precedents from Hutong and from vernacular Beijing with Western precedents, Rossi and other things. And you do that many times. I don't see a lot of people doing that. I think there's so many things we could ask about technique and why you do that and how that works. But I think it's just incredible. I think the kind of production that that we see here with all of this work, and I think the magic is, and I think we don't really think about this so much, or students don't think about this so much, but the creativity really comes from so many constraints. You have a lot of constraints, and you seem to give many instructions from the beginning, but actually all of creativity comes in combining things, in finding your own way inside. Even the use of ostogram and some of the algorithms. you would think that that's not very creative, but actually the way you use it, it becomes incredibly creative. AI becomes really, really creative. So I don't think that answers Xander's question, but I do think it kind of loops back to the history of your, of the way you're working and the way you're working with students. I appreciate enormously that you showed a lot of the work that you collaborated with on with our students. Yeah, here are some. Kyle, do you see any are there
Yeah,
questions?
there's a lot of questions. I know Hector had a question that he wanted to ask. Hector?
Oh, yes. I wonder that, have you considered your drawing to become 2.5D or 3D as it may not appear on a flat surface or flat facade? Because I think that's pretty much what you are doing now is like every area of the drawing appears on a flat facade, which I think there could be a potential, or have you considered that? Because I think that would be interesting. The mirror condition in the exhibition you just said is like kind of 3D, right?
Yeah, you mean that sorry, because we want to make sure we understand the question, so we always have to repeat it first before we answer. So you mean that whether we consider to bring our drawing into three-dimensional? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. You mean like, like for example, as a what kind of three-dimensional, if you could be more, because to us, making those models actually is one way of making it three-dimensional. We sort of like a little bit afraid to go this digitally three-dimensional, because that's the way we want to get away, because we think that's digitally three-dimensional seems so common, or so dominant in today's design world.
Yeah, maybe there is issue between real three-dimensional and digital three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Or you can
Yeah, I'm not talking about modeling. I know it's a different way of thinking about that, but really, like not all the facade of a piece of architecture would be very flat, so you can put your drawing perfectly. But putting your drawing on those facade that is like not very flat will create some like bas relief moment, right?
That's actually we think that's.
I think it's interesting. Okay. Actually, we try to experiment if we have the opportunity, because for the image, maybe it's pretty simple to put on the flat wall, but it's a curtain wall. I don't know. Maybe it will create a more complicated effect. But actually, what we want is really the combination between three-dimensional and two-dimensional. Is not just put the image on the wall. It may be, the drawing really can become a three-dimensional things, not just a project image on the wall, but the image for some certain part becomes two-dimensional, certain part keep flat. So it's a three-dimensional drawing in this world. So that's the direction we want to try to develop.
Yeah, we try to, because as you mentioned, right, our current realization is just mostly on the a flat surface. Probably preferable windowless, but it's true that after a while you still think, okay, that seems too easy, and you want to go a step further. But that's, of course, first we need to have the opportunity to see what kind of like existing architecture can allow us to make it maybe more depth in this, even if we still do the mural, but the mural has some depth.
Yeah.
But then another approach we really want to experiment is like we like this something three-dimensional growing out of the
Actually,
drawing.
we already tried some installation in exhibition, and when you do an installation, it's kind of three-dimensional work, and when we do three-dimensional thing, we also think we can borrow images to the three-dimensional thing. That means the image cannot be so complicated when you
Go to
go three-dimensional. So so basically
Wait, yeah, sorry, you lost his words. Yes, but anyway, I think that you are also pointing out a very important approach actually for our further experiments.
And we already tried this.
We started, we actually got a lot of inspiration from this VC Studio collaboration, where we play with this 3D and with 2D, and so for our own project in the future, we want to also follow the same strategy, and to see if we can bring some new levels or dimension to the work. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's a great answer.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question, Hector. There's a bunch of questions in the chat. I'll try to synthesize them into one. A lot of them deal with sources of inspiration and even the style that you've developed. I found it quite remarkable and also refreshing, like how these influences have been combined into something that I feel is quite new in terms of borrowing the kind of, let's say, the lineage of representation from Western culture. You referenced the kind of scroll drawing as something that then hybridizes with the perspectival drawing, which is actually not a perspective, it's a combination of axons at different scales. And I find it interesting because it's a drawing style that to me doesn't really belong to a particular geographic context, a particular disciplinary lineage. It starts to belong to all of them simultaneously, which I imagine invites a lot of not only appreciation for the spectacle of the drawing, but for the content as well. And I guess I'm just wondering, like, what type of feedback you've gotten from people who really carefully have viewed the drawings, or also maybe what do you intend to be the effect of them? Because I see in them an educational component in terms of the cross-cultural references. You rely a lot on depicting cultural and domestic rituals, but you're also kind of, again, like teaching us something about the history of drawing convention, again, across culture. So yeah, I just wonder what type of feedback you've gotten, or just, again, what do you intend to be the effect or the takeaway when someone really approaches and studies these drawings?
I think in general, we are quite open. We have been asked similar questions before, like how we expect the feedback. But we try to actually, when we work, we actually don't think too much about the possible feedback. We are very sort of like self-centered during the whole process. We just think that, okay, this is something I want to try, or this is an approach we didn't do before. So for example, the scroll painting, that's the first time. And also like when we did this large mural in 798, we never go for that density and the scale. So it's just mainly just for something that we think that we have the urge to create something new out of like daily work. Although like maybe in general, you will see that they are all same drawings. But we think that the biggest challenge is that the more you do, and the more difficult you can find something new in it. And but we leave the feedback is really open to anyone, because we think that different people have different perception when they see them. For example, as Kyle, you mentioned that because you are the professional, and you will see maybe some detail or some you feel that there's something in the back of this drawing. But for the general audience, especially for those public art murals, like they just probably feel first attracted by the drawing, and then they feel, okay, I can recognize that building is next to my apartment, or I go to school there. So they find this kind of emotional connection, and to them that's enough. They don't really care, or they don't really have the background information to go deeper. But it's also okay for us. We want that sort of like wow effect for the audience. That's also feels good.
And
Well,
also,
Yeah, I mean,
there's always wow effect when you present these drawings, and certainly when you do murals. Look, we don't want to keep you all day. I want to say one of the things that we wanted to achieve, especially in your presentation, was that you laid out such a rich set of opportunities to have discussions for us over the course of the semester, and a lot of these other drawing exercises we're going to have. We will very likely next semester, we're going to have a small show and have all of the professors who are in the series come back. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get you to come, but I know we will have, I mean, our plans are, of course, to have you as a visiting professor here sometime as soon as we, as travel becomes more possible again. But I think you put so many things on the table for us to continue to discuss over the course of the semester. A new status of the drawing, a whole new dimension to what architectural practice can be. Everything changed for you at 798. Drawings were no longer about something else. They became the thing themselves. There's many questions we'd love to ask about. How does all this kind of work actually work on a phone as opposed to as a mural? The scaling out at the gigantic mural scale, and then the individual scale of the perspectival drawing is also the same as scaling out of the internet and coming in on a single phone. What do you do with that? So I think there are many things, and I just feel lucky I get to see your work and to get to hear you talk more about it. I think we're probably gonna stop here unless there are any final questions. And I just want to thank you both so much for joining us tonight to start the series. What a great start. We will continue to have conversations, obviously, and we'd love to, well, if it's at all possible to have you here in the spring for this event, we will have you here. And if not, we'll get you in by Zoom. But really, I hope everybody will join me in thanking Lihan and Huyan for coming and starting off our series, and for the great exhibition they did, and the terrific studio they did in Beijing last spring. So thank you. And I don't know if anybody has any final comments, but Kyle, I'll leave it to you to wind us out. And I want to thank you again. Thank you also for getting up at 5 o'clock. I know that's not so easy. Saturday morning. Yes.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always such a great pleasure to talk with you and about our work and about the drawing in general. And we really feel so grateful that we get to know the fantastic students from Syracuse, and we really enjoying working with them. And we believe that we will have more opportunities to collaborate in the future. And here we also like to wish everyone a very good semester when you are coming back to school. And that's just good luck. Thank you
very much. Thank you for joining, everybody, and have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye-bye.